Hey, Jack. All right. You got this stuff?
Yeah, all cleaned in oil.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. Let's get it on.
Who are these guys?
It's my theme music. Every good hero should have some.
Live from Springfield, Missouri, the one, the only, P1 Green. Yeah!
Excuse me, can I get a cup of coffee? Black? Can't you see we talking? White?
Good Thursday morning to everyone, especially to my good friend Martin. How you doing, buddy?
Fine, I'm doing fine in this beautiful almost Friday.
That's the way to look at it. Almost Friday. Yes. Well, look, things could be worse. They could always be worse.
Oh yeah.
Oh, geez. Well, look, I hope that today's show is going to be something really kind of cool for everyone. And, had a lot of fun putting it together. But as a consequence, gonna have to start on a little bit of a down note. And it's never easy talking about this, but you know, it is a part of life. So Los Angeles Times, Variety, Forbes, they all carried the story. Wow. Pioneering actor, producer, Terry Carter, known for his roles in the original Battlestar Galactica and in McCloud, passed away at the age of 95. The man was prolific and had been working in television since the 50s and 60s, and had been involved in producing documentaries, especially one on Duke Ellington. Wow. Anyway, look, let me read what Variety posted. Okay. Terry Carter, who played Sergeant Joe Broadhurst on the TV series McCloud, and Detective, who put that together? Really, dudes? Detective Joe Broadhurst on the TV series McCloud, and Colonel Ty on the original Battlestar Galactica, died at his home in New York, Tuesday morning. He was 95. Emmy-nominated director for A Duke Named Ellington, a TV musical documentary. Born John Everett DeCoste in Brooklyn, New York on 16th of December 1928, to parents of Dominican, Argentine, and African-American descent. Carter would go on to become the first black TV news anchor for Boston's WBZ-TV Eyewitness News, where he also became the first opening night drama and movie critic. He was also one of the first black regulars on the 1956 sitcom series, The Phil Silvers Show, in which he played Private Sugarman. Carter's other credits include the 1970 TV movie Company of Killers, in which he starred alongside Van Johnson and Ray Milland, and the 1974 film Foxy Brown with Pam Grier. Oh, yeah. Wow. In 1979, Carter formed the Council for Progressive Images, a nonprofit dedicated to enhancing intercultural and interethnic understanding through media. Under the organization, he produced and directed several documentary programs for PBS focusing on cultural and historical topics. You know, that's what we need more of: intercultural and interethnic. That's exactly what we need more of. Oh, that's enough of me on the political front. That's as far as I'm going to go on that end. In 1988, Carter and directed the Emmy nominated TV musical documentary A Duke Named Ellington about the jazz titan. Carter served 2 terms on the board of governors of the Academy of Television Arts and Sciences. He was inducted into the 1983 into the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, and he served on the documentary committee and the Foreign Films Committee for the Oscars. In 1985, Carter was awarded a Los Angeles Emmy for KIDS, a TV miniseries he created, directed, and produced about a diverse group of teenagers who struggled to navigate the intense conflicts confronting American youth at the time. Carter was twice widowed and is survived by his wife. Wow. And 2 children. This man never slowed down. I love that. Wow. That's just amazing. But for me, you know, Detective Joe Broadhurst is how I first came to know Terry Carter. Watching him on TV and enjoying McCloud. Uh, and then some years later, getting a chance to see him as Colonel Ty.
Mm.
So, wow. What do you think, Martin?
Well, it's a pity seeing to lose him, but on the other hand, trying to see it in a more not positive, but I don't know how to put it. The man lived 95 years,
Yeah.
apparently well lived, and he had the opportunity to produce good material,
Mm-hmm.
with the best intentions. Oh man, I'm gonna miss him. Well, the next time I see the Galacticum, I'm gonna. My eyes may sweat.
That's all right. It's all right.
Yeah, man. I remember when. Oh well, it's the whole story with Battlestar Galactica and BSG.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I didn't want to watch the new one, and I resisted for 10 years. Then I saw it and fell in love with it. And my 2 gripes were, uh, oh man, what Ty? What's a black man? And uh, mm, Starbuck was a man, and you you learn to love this new interpretation of those characters.
Mm-hmm.
But the original Colonel Ty will have a special place.
Yeah.
He was, I mean, yeah, he was Adama's call to reason. He was the pillar of reason.
Yeah.
they added other layers to the new interpretation that he was a guy, a troubled man who eventually stops being dependable.
Yeah.
But in the original series, he yes, it was a completely different character. But you knew you could have all you could Adama could always count on him. Ah man, and the presence of Terry Carter, he he had that commanding presence. You know what I mean when
Mm-hmm.
it was that kind of person that the moment they appear on scene, they command attention and respect.
Mm-hmm.
So it's again it's sad, but it was a well lived life.
Mm-hmm.
So I prefer to look it that way and to toast to his well lived life.
Here, here. I gotta say, I thought I knew a lot about him, but I had no idea about being the first black TV news anchor for Boston's WBZ. Uh, between him and Leonard Nimoy, who's also from Boston, Boston had a lot going on. Jeez.
Mhm.
Whew. But you're right. It's a life well lived. And I'm definitely going to have to search out that documentary, A Duke Named Ellington. You know, uh, wow. And again, the Phil Silvers show. I need to check out him on that show because I remember seeing clips, but I'll have to check that show out because if he was definitely a regular on that show, then yeah, that's at least 10 years before I was born. So, whew, yeah, definitely gonna have to check out a few of these projects. So, hmm, to Mr. Terry Carter, um, thank you. Thank you very much for everything that you gave to all of us fans, and condolences to his family and friends. And checking out everyone in the chat. Wolverine626. Yeah, I wasn't going to say anything about that, man, but you're bringing it up.
Well, I put an article about that in the private chat, so you can.
Yeah.
Oh man, that is.
It if they're calling for a brand new trial, that means they got something. They
Oh no, but it's what they got is bullshit, man. Money is the ultimate get out of jail card.
well, there's three reasons why you would want to do something like this. There's what you're talking about, somebody buying their way, trying to influence the system. Something was overlooked, or there was a mistake, or there truly is something. So again, I can't say. I have no access to any of that stuff. All I do know is this is happening. And that does not mean that all the other things that he's been convicted of don't mean anything. But in that particular case, there could be something. Um, and I will say this: if you're Disney right now, if this ends up pointing the direction that I think it might point, this is bad news, Disney. Bad news. So, certain person working for Lucasfilm right now might want you to attempt to bury a lot of that stuff, but and if they timing is everything. If this ends up being something that comes back to be drawn out over the next couple of months, Disney's gonna not like that.
Yes. Well, here's the thing. As Wolverine says, uh, there were two testimonies that the Disney judge said it is they were not relevant to the specific charge. So
Wow.
there you have it. There you have it. No, the
So it's a
guy is
mistake.
guilty. The
Yeah.
guy is guilty, but the testimony is inadmissible. Fuck that.
Hey, they at least caught him, man. They caught him. They got him. He's guilty.
And he will walk out free like Cosby. Yay.
I just, yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what? After bringing up Harvey, let's try to go with little happier news. You know, let's try to do something little on the happy tip because yeah, that's
Infuriating,
yeah, it is. So
outrageous.
yes, it is. So we're gonna go with story about Frank Miller. Seems like he has a deal, a very special deal. This is from the Hollywood Reporter. Comic creator Frank Miller has struck a unique publishing deal with Abrams Comic Arts. The acclaimed graphic novel arm of art and illustration centric Abrams will now be the book publisher of select titles for Miller's independent and self-published book company, Frank Miller Presents. Miller, the creator behind The Dark Knight Returns, 300, and Sin City, becomes the latest big comic name to work with the company, which already works with comics author Brian Michael Bendis and comics painter Alex Ross, and is known for such titles as My Friend Dahmer and The Superhero's Journey. The first titles released under the partnership will hit fall of 2024 and include Ronin Rising, Miller's sequel to his acclaimed and influential 1983 miniseries Ronin, and the young adult fantasy Pandora. Ronin Rising will be available in two formats, a collector's edition and a manga edition via Abrams' new Kana imprint. Miller launched FMP, Frank Miller Presents, in 2022 with the goal of self-publishing several titles in the single-issue format, also known as floppies. Ronin Rising, then known as Ronin Book 2, and Pandora were among the initial titles. Abrams will publish the collected editions, putting a high-quality and handsome package the imprint is known for. One thing the new partnership does is take the comic titles beyond comic shops and puts them into bookstores, opening up the potential readership base. Abrams will additionally release other titles and formats down the line and may even release new titles or single issue series. Those details are still being determined. Wow. Interesting. And definitely something needed given the state of comics right now, Marvel and DC are not doing very well. And as we get closer and closer and closer to Free Comic Book Day this year, it's very important that uh, fans, especially those fans that actually do have money to buy certain special publications, stuff that's kind of a little expensive but worth it if done quality wise. It's important to keep that stuff up, to keep that stuff available. And considering how much stuff that's really not getting printed anymore that used to be printed, there's a lot of material out there that could probably be reprinted, put into a better format, and a lot of fans, myself included, would be willing to purchase. Especially a lot of the I would like to see Warner Brothers do a reprinting of all their large format comics that they were doing in the 70s. A lot of the special size-wise comics that they were able to do of the Legion of Superheroes and others would be very appreciated, especially if it were in some kind of a hardcover. That would be fantastic. But, I'm just speaking for me. Let's see. Abrams' unique distribution and outreach ensures that the work of our imprint will continue to connect with fans, no matter where they may be, Miller said in a statement. Stated Abrams Comics Arts VP and publisher, Rodolphe Lechat. For 75 years, Abrams has practiced the art of books, and we will use our experimented savoir-faire, our strong market expertise, and Frank Miller's acumen to create the best and most groundbreaking graphic novels with him and his team at Frank Miller Presents. One comic title still waiting to be released is probably the most eagerly anticipated by fans. The Western set Sin City Tale, on which Miller is working with Italian artist Milo Manara. Oh, wow, really?
What? Manara is going
Yeah, he
nice.
and Frank Miller are working on a Western, basically Sin City set in as a Western or a Western set. Wow. It is unclear whether Abrams or FMP will publish that book, but sources said the hope was to see it hit shelves later this year or early next. For now, readers will have to make do with Ronin Rising and Pandora. Written by Frank Miller, with art by Miller, Philip Tan, and Daniel, oh man, I'm going to mess up his last name. Heinrichs. Ronin Rising was Miller's return to his cyberpunk samurai tale, first published by DC Comics. The story will be published simultaneously in two formats. The first will be a deluxe collector's edition, which will come with an all-new cover by Miller, a new foreword by DC chief Jim Lee, and 49 pages of bonus material showcasing each spread from the 6-issue miniseries as Miller originally intended, in full landscape format. The second will commemorate the Japanese roots and influences of Ronin, and will come in a traditional manga format. Pandora, meanwhile, tells of a disaffected girl who gets a chance to change her unhappy life when she discovers a flower-shaped relic with the power to warp reality. Miller co-wrote the book with Anthony Manerville and Chris Silvestri, and it features art by Emma Kubert, the daughter of popular X-Men artist Andy Kubert and granddaughter of comics legend Joe Kubert. Check out the first look reveal of the books, which are expected to hit stores in October. We'll have to put a link to this so that people can check out. Wow, this is amazing artwork. Here, hold on. Let me go ahead and share what I'm looking at that way. You guys can see it too. Ronin Rising. Cover.
Oh, let me share that.
Wow. And Pandora.
Nice artwork. Yes, Emma Kubert. There you have it.
Wow. And Kubert name continues. Wow. Wow, I did not know that. I have to save that for another show.
Hmm.
Looks like Jim Lee is going to go back to Comic-Con. DC decides they want to go back to Comic-Con. That is big news. Anyway, so what do you think, Martin?
Well, there's promise. Let's do it. Let's see
It,
what
uh,
are they going to bring to us.
I like the look of this. I'm hoping the price
Oh
is
man, that
reasonable.
is beautiful. The,
Yeah, yeah. This is nice. Anyway, wow. Okay.
oh, Wolverine, why? No, no.
No, 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 no. We're not going to go there. Okay. Wow. Way to bring us down. Oh, wait a minute. Wolverine 66. What's this? He says the 1990 Flash TV series is
Oh
coming to
yes,
Blu-ray by Warner Archive in June, July of this year. Yeah, baby.
the real Flash TV series.
Yeah, yeah. That brings back some memories.
Oh yeah.
That was a fun show. I wonder if they're gonna start releasing just a lot of these one-off shows though that they've been doing. There's a lot of shows like that DC has had. DC Warner Brothers has had by way of dipping into the DC vault of characters. Uh, in fact, the guy the duo behind this show, their production company known as Pet Fly Productions, uh, while they were filming and working on The Flash at night, during the day they were shooting a movie for Disney, and that was The Rocketeer.
Wait. Let me. I need to Wolverine. I need Wolverine to ask me this question. It is for real 4K, or are you just toying with my feelings?
That's a good question. That is a
Yeah,
very good question.
I wouldn't mind 1080, but 4K, of course. Oh,
Hmm. Hmm.
mm, yeah, maybe not.
Huh.
So that would be nice. That would
That'd
be
be
a
beyond
nice
nice.
addition to my collection. Oh yes,
Oh, I'm just telling you.
Dark
Look.
Justice, my man. I have forgotten completely about Dark Justice. It was a cheesy show, but it was nice.
Wow. Well, look, there's a lot of those shows. I mean, um, they also did another show after that went off the air. They had done The Human Target. And with their version of The Human Target, they went with Rick Springfield in the lead role as Christopher Chance. And the reason why I like that show so much is that those of us that grew up with a certain television series in the very early 1970s called The Magician really appreciated what they did with Rick Springfield's version of The Human Target by having him be the guy that lives in a plane. So I always liked that. That was always one of my favorite shows when I was little, because I always really just liked the concept of being able to live in a plane, having enough room to do that.
On fuel.
Fuel's one thing, you know, but yeah, it was just I liked it. I thought it was the coolest of cool things, and to have the lead character really of both shows uh, having basically the equivalent of an apartment, a place to park his vehicles, or at least a place to park his vehicle, and all in a plane. How cool is that? I mean, come on. Well, maybe not.
Hmm.
Anyway, let's go with our next story. With this next story, it was something from Deadline. Seth MacFarlane Foundation teams with Martin Scorsese, Film Foundation, to restore its first ever collection of animated pics. It's from Deadline. Family Guy creator Seth MacFarlane is partnering with his Seth MacFarlane Foundation with Martin Scorsese's Film Foundation to fund the first ever curated restoration of historically significant animated shorts from the 1920s to the 1940s. MacFarlane is committed to saving and honoring the art form from its earliest days forward. He's been fascinated by animation since childhood when he began drawing. He's also an animation alum of Rhode Island School of Design. This year, MacFarlane's Family Guy is celebrating its 25th anniversary. Wow. I'm so grateful to Seth MacFarlane for his enthusiasm and his support on these restorations, said Martin Scorsese in the statement. What an astonishing experience to see these remarkable pictures that I experienced for the first time as a child brought back to their full glory. Imagine the reactions of children today, because the films now seem as fresh as they did when they were newly made. 9 animated pics from Max and Dave Fleischer, who created Betty Boop and Coco the Clown, are among the pieces that have been restored. MacFarlane is a jazz music aficionado and the Great American Songbook. So, the Fleischer brothers' noted use of jazz in their soundtracks, including collaborations with Cab Calloway, Louis Armstrong, and Don Redman, are a big reason why the Fleischers' work is represented in this restoration collection. The work Martin Scorsese and his Film Foundation have been doing is essential cinematic preservation, said MacFarlane. I'm honored to partner with them in restoring their first ever collection of storied animation. Also included are 2 stop-motion animation shorts directed by George Powell, known for his charming Puppetoons. The final film On the list is a Terry tune produced by Paul Terry. Wow. Um, the films were selected and restored by UCLA Film and Television Archive and the Film Foundation in collaboration with Paramount Pictures Archives. The 12 restorations funded by MacFarlane were completed using unique original preprint elements and or print sources, mostly nitrate, held at UCLA Film and Television Archive. Well, a program of 9 restorations titled Back from the Ink, Restored Animated Shorts will premiere at the 2024 TCM, otherwise known as Turner Classic Movies, Classic Film Festival on Saturday, April 20th at 6:30 p.m. So we've already flown past that with an in-person introduction by MacFarlane. 7 shorts directed by Dave Fleischer will be screened. Coco's Tat, 1928, Little Nobody, 1935, The Little Stranger, 1936, Greedy Humpty Dumpty, 1936, Peeping Penguins, 1937, The Fresh Vegetable Mystery, 1939, and Does an Automobile, also 1939. Also premiering are The Three Bears, a 1939 Terry tune directed by Manny Davis, and Two Gun Rusty, a George Powell puppetoon from 1944. Wow. Always love animation, and big fan of Max and Dave Fleischer. Wow, what do you think, Barton?
Well, what's about time? I mean, classic animation of the that those 2 decades. That's I know it's not the beginning, but it's the beginning, and we need to preserve that. We need to restore and preserve. Criterion has done a very good job, but this is a step further in preserving media history and cinema history. I would like to know the full list of what they have planned to restore.
Okay.
Okay, as I heard you said, they have already restored nine
Yes.
pieces, right?
Yes.
Oh, would like to know what's in their future plans. And man, Joe Fleischer, those are good cartoons.
Mm-hmm. Very good cartoons, and yeah, they should definitely be saved. I mean, considering the age of some of those things, really, the entire Fleischer Brothers catalog deserves to be saved. What they were able to accomplish outside of Disney. Well, Sci-Fi Mommy says, I applaud both men. Animation is a precious art that needs preservation. Not just movies, but all forms of media need preservation. You are right about that. Sci-Fi Mombi. Let's see. Wolverine 626 says Beverly Hills Cop 4 releases on Netflix on July 3rd. I will keep that date open. Well,
You know what? Uh, uh, in this one, Axel is going to team up with his daughter, right?
what are we talking about again?
Beverly Hills Cop 4. Axel
Oh,
Foley, I think he's gonna team up with his daughter. It would be nice if the daughter laughed exactly just like him.
well, I'm just happy to see something new. I'm just happy that Eddie's got this project because this is definitely something that is needed to happen for quite a while. Uh, given given current technology, there is absolutely no reason why this can't look and feel like a big movie. You know, uh, I'm expecting something to look as good as Beverly Hills Cop 2. That's an amazing looking film. Beverly Hills Cop 1 and 2 are really good movies. The script is a little bit better in Beverly Hills Cop 1, balanced with Eddie's being Eddie, I should say. But Beverly Hills Cop 2 is the best looking of the two films. And for those who have not seen that movie lately, man, I'm telling you, that film looks like it was shot yesterday. Uh, it's an amazing looking film. And if they could find somebody that could at least do a job comparable to what they had for that film, wow. Then again, you know, they could always do the story where they invite Brigitte Nielsen back and have her play a bad guy again. Oh, they
Oh, I don't think she's
can't.
in conditions to do that.
Just having some fun with it. Um, it's just good to see Eddie doing all kinds of really cool stuff, and not just trying to work those projects that might get him a nice Academy Award. You know.
Yeah,
I mean, I
but I
think he's
mean,
already proven how talented he is. He is a very talented guy.
well, he was the king of the '80s, so he should come back and remember, make everyone remember why was that.
Well, I think according to the numbers, he was the second or third biggest one in film in the 80s. I think the actual king of the 80s was Harrison Ford.
Really?
Oh yeah, he got box office. He was awarded the box office star of the millennium because of what he did in the 80s. His box office in the 80s? Are you kidding me? Let's start the 80s off with The Empire Strikes Back. You know, I mean, if you go through all of his box office films of the 1980s, you're beginning it with The Empire Strikes Back. And it just goes from there. I mean, yeah. No, Eddie, and look, that's no diss on Eddie at all. Eddie's output in the 1980s is stellar. But if you're going to try to match that to what Harrison Ford did, you're going to come up a little short. Eddie was huge.
I don't know.
But
Eddie was Eddie was producing movie after movie after
I
movie,
know, I
and
know.
everybody well, you only need
Every,
to hear the words Eddie Murphy, and you don't need anything else.
that's
You
right.
went to
It-
you
it-
went to the cinema.
but the box office, the worldwide box office take of Harrison Ford, it's just bigger. I mean, 1980. So you're looking at Empire. You're looking at Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. You're also looking at Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. You're looking at Return of the Jedi. Just those films right there. It's done. It's done. And we haven't even gotten into the latter half of the 80s. That's just the early 19 starting at 1980. And that's not counting Blade Runner. I mean, Harrison Ford was just getting it done. So, I mean, I love Eddie Murphy, but if you're going to talk about box office power, if you're going to talk about the king of the box office, that's Harrison Ford. If you want to be completely honest, that's Harrison Ford. At least in the 1980s. And I think he's also in the running, kind of sort of in the 90s. But in the 1980s, he ruled. His movies, I mean, what? You're looking at least since 1977. And the bulk of Harrison Ford's lifetime gross as a major star comes out of the 80s. But he's continued to do other things, and he's got the new Captain America movie coming out. Now, will that movie be big? I don't know. I can't say. Hopefully, it'll be bigger than that Dial of Destiny movie. Yeah, I know. I was just dancing around it. I just can't bring myself to really.
No, you have to.
I just can't sometimes. I can't believe Kathy just did that. I mean, it makes me feel dirty to think about that movie. I feel like I need a shower. Shot of tequila or something. Oh, I mean, I need to just drink some water or something. Whew. I don't know. I just think that yeah. Anyway. Okay.
It could have been worse. Could have been. They could have gone for Zack Snyder to make that movie. Zack Snyder's Indiana Jones on the Dial of Destiny in slow mo.
No, what could have been worse is you I don't even want to. Okay, now you got me thinking about it. Now you got me thinking. Oh,
we should do a show of horrible what ifs.
If we're really gonna go down the road of how it could have been worse, it could have been Ryan Johnson's version. Roundhead boy. Ooh. Oh, that would have been a cluster.
Damn. I've been outdone.
I mean, I was going to originally say Uwe Boll, but I think Ryan Johnson, when he's really off his game, makes Uwe Boll look like an multi-Academy Award winning filmmaker. So, ooh. Ooh, is it kind of chilly in here? Anyway. So the last story we have for today is really is the film that is being put out there to kind of, save Kevin Feige's backside. Now,
I don't know. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't put so much importance to this movie because this movie Oh man, this is predestined to be a hit. The real savior will be what the savior or doomer will be what comes after this.
Yeah, yeah. I think by now everybody's had an opportunity to see the trailer,
Oh, yeah.
and I think I counted in this trailer. I counted the F bomb being dropped 6 times, and the S bomb once. So this film is definitely gonna they're definitely gonna try to be as entertaining as possible and take advantage of the fact that you have Hugh Jackman in it. But I gotta say, Ryan Reynolds and his team, his PR team that he has, as I said yesterday, they're the best in the business. Nobody does PR for movies the same way that Ryan Reynolds and his team do. You got to at least give it up to them for that. And not everything's going to involve, and this is what I really like about his team and Ryan Reynolds. Not everything they're going to do for this movie involves actually showing scenes from the movie. Okay? Have you seen the promo posters that they came up with?
I think I have seen only 2 or 3.
Well, they
The
have a
one with
there's
they have.
one promo poster of it's
Hello.
Wolverine.
Hello.
Hey, it's Wolverine's claw, and
Hmm.
Deadpool's kind of he's his finger and he's touching one of the claws. Well, now,
Oh yes. So yes, I saw Gerry sharing that on
yeah,
X.
it's
So I've
it, it's a motion poster is what he did with it. They created a motion poster out of that. So that's one way of taking something that already exists, so that you don't actually try to spoil anything, and creating content out of that. You know, you got to give it up to Ryan Reynolds and his team, because when you look at the job they did with just the first Deadpool movie, creating phony commercials where there's one where they were using it to get past the first Deadpool film was put out around the time of Valentine's Day, so it was
around
all
the time.
about
No, it released on Valentine's Day,
yeah.
and the poster was like
When
a
you say
romantic
released,
movie.
Yes, he means it. I like the one where he's delivering the baby. That's another one. Uh, you when you have the second film, that one was they turned it into an opportunity for all kinds of different things, including getting your all the references to checking women's breasts for cancer, the testicular cancer type thing. I mean, all that stuff that it's they take things to a place where most other PR teams don't. And taking a line or two from a movie and expanding that into some kind of an ongoing meta visual joke just to get you to go see the movie. I don't think there's any other better team right now out there promoting any film.
well, who wrote Rogue One? That's kind of one line I'm going to.
Rogue
Nope.
One?
One line of a movie and kind of a joke, right? It's one
Oh,
sentence from the very beginning
yeah.
of Star Wars 77.
Yeah.
And aside from The Last King of Scotland, I really didn't overly enjoy that film. It's not terrible. It was a Disney Star Wars movie where I said, this was a fun trip to the theater. I'm going to forget about this movie. It wasn't like Solo, where I walked out like 20 minutes before the end, and someone told me a year later about Darth Maul.
Yeah, by that time in the movie, I figured I had already sat through everything that had come before. I might as well finish it off. You know.
I was sad. 44 years to make a Han Solo movie, and we got that. Uh, I was very disappointed. The only good news was I felt like, well, now I'm taller than Han Solo, and I could beat the hell out of him. Well, that's your positives, right?
Yeah, you got to take your wins where you can.
That movie established Han Solo was only cool for a brief time where he dealt drugs, blew people away, and got the chick. Before and after that, he was very, very dumb.
Yeah. I don't know. I was on another show yesterday, and I have to say the thing that I had to say about it is this. Just think of how much money. Look, we all can agree that Deadpool and Wolverine potentially can make a lot of money. But just think of how much money this film would have made had they released this immediately after Avengers Endgame.
Before everyone's head starts really spinning, people are only questioning just so much. It's a very good point. By the way, just as a footnote for the show, I'm reporting to you from the location of the filming of the movie Birth of a Nation.
Oh,
I'm a little late. I don't see anything left from the shoot. The whole area has been heavily remade over into a urban neighborhood, but I am in the footprint of this Astoria studio. This is like within 4 or 5 blocks of where I'm walking. I'm just about to hop a bus back home to good old other side of Queens.
Wow. Well, I have to admit I've only seen that film twice in my life.
Saw it in history class. On a more positive note, I can see the building from Highlander from here too.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
well, I'll admit it. I just killed another Star Trek reviewer and absorbed their power. It's what I do. It's what I do.
Well, you got to remember, when it comes to Kurtzman track, it takes 2 to equal 1 good one.
Ooh, I'll be watching that tonight with my audience, and hopefully not any bots. But hey, anything could happen. We've had 500 bots visiting every show for the last couple of weeks. I think somebody doesn't like me making fun of Star Trek or New Trek.
Well, they're gonna have to deal with it because
they can pry this phaser from my cold dead fingers, Keith.
As I was telling Martin before the show, and as I've said before, but I'm sure by now some of you out there have heard the rumor about Universal wanting to buy Paramount.
Has it changed from only Star Trek? Are they now looking to make a move on more of it or all of it?
No. The only ones that were just interested in Star Trek was Warner Brothers. Okay, but
okay.
Universal, they want the whole thing. They want it all. You know, which means that for the first time in at least 56 years, if they were successful in doing it, it'd be the first time in 56 years that Star Trek would be returning to NBC.
It's an amazing prospect to have that kind of hope after what we've been.
Oh, it gets better. It gets better.
Let me have another glass of Tranya. Wow.
As I told Martin, I said, here's the thing. When Disney bought Fox, they bought everything that they could get their hands on.
Right. They couldn't take the news part, but they got everything else. Is
They got
my
everything else.
basic understanding.
Anything that wasn't nailed down, they got, except Seth MacFarlane, who we had talked about earlier in the show. Seth MacFarlane signed a deal with NBC Universal. And,
Right. And he owns the Orville, so there's a lot of hope there that he could maybe go on with Peacock and force it.
But that's the thing. If they get Star Trek, I think Orville's done. I think the Orville is completely done. I think he will use whatever he has to get to be placed in charge of NBC's Star Trek.
You know what? Then there will be an Orville movie, and the Orville will come back. I don't know that the cast is on the best terms right now. Didn't Adrian Palicki just get divorced from one of the other cast members? Am I correct about that?
Did who get what again?
Wasn't Kelly briefly married to Gordon, which means that Adrian Palicki is now divorced from Scott Grimes? Weren't they married for 5 minutes there?
Oh, that was long time before even the show.
Okay, so that's not going to be a burden. I thought that was more recent.
No.
Someone only brought that up to me.
No. That had happened before the Orville.
Well, there goes my feeling like I have a shot.
But there have been some things connected to certain cast members, certain situations that she had talked about. Adrian Palicki had talked about on a podcast about how bad things got before they started work and finished season 3. Things aren't going so well with this whole waiting thing, and as someone whose job it is to go out and constantly find work, as you well know, it's difficult to do that if you're having to wait for a particular show to go into production. I'm sure everybody's not waiting. I'm sure they have other jobs to go to. I'm thinking trying to schedule if Seth is able to get an Orville movie prepared. I'm sure it's going to be about trying to get everybody's schedule to align. But as I was saying to Martin before the show today, he's got a few people that actually, are veterans of working on Star Trek, and definitely people who are not, who have not worked with Alex Kurtzman, which is definitely a plus. So, if MacFarlane were to get control of Star Trek, he would be able to bring in some veterans of real Trek who would probably end up helping him do more Star Trek. I mean, Martin did say something to that effect that about Seth and running Star Trek. So I got to give.
If he was offered, we only have the Orville because he wasn't given Star Trek. He's an Enterprise. He wanted this in his heart. We see the films when he was a kid. He loves Star Trek.
Yeah.
Look what Sci-Fi Mom is saying here.
Okay, Seth said this week on Mike Henry's show, the Orville is coming. He has to do other projects first to satisfy the studio, but according to the mission log, the Orville is renewed. That's great. And
That's different from hearing it from Alex Kurtzman. There's some gravitas to that. We know that Seth at least means it in his heart. Whether the stars align still, I don't know. But I don't think Seth MacFarlane would ever make something up to get us to watch their show. Like, for instance, more like the old Star Trek you love every year. He would just say how he saw.
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, no, I'm here.
Oh,
Did I cut out?
It ended.
I've been muting a little bit because I've walked now. I'm now on the set of the exterior shoot from the movie Bronx Tale.
Don't say.
I don't think anyone will fly because it's not in the Bronx, but you would have to know where it is. But it's the street from the Bronx Tale. I just walked past the now used can't leave bar.
Wow.
is
That's New York
this?
City. You walk from one movie location to another. You know, it's been filmed a lot.
I
But
wish Universal would.
Cam's Crash Courses says, I wish Universal would eat Star Trek like a killer whale eats the liver out of a great white shark. You know what? If they get their hands on it, they will definitely treat it way nicer than what CBS has. And I'm sure they will do whatever they can to make sure that it's brought back in a way that is a positive experience for all fans everywhere. I'm pretty sure that at least one or two people that I can think of would probably either try to work with Seth or leave Seth to go work on this.
I really hope
Because-
the rumors of a falling out with Patrick Stewart are true, because I don't want him in anything called Star Trek ever again, or ever want to see any of his performances anymore.
You know what? I couldn't say. And plus, he's reached an age where cost-wise, well, even not just cost, let's even talk insurance. Trying to insure him would just be too expensive. So,
Good point. But he wasn't even used, say, in the narration role in Ted, which that's pretty low risk.
can you hear me, Mombi?
Yeah,
She
I
said-
just boost your mic level.
Okay.
Mombi is an excellent source on Seth MacFarlane and the Orville, and basically anything Seth MacFarlane related.
Oh, Mombi's cool.
Yeah.
I think personally, as fans, what we want is just for Star Trek to be taken out of the influence of Alex Kurtzman and J.J. Abrams and just given to people who actually, first and foremost, love Star Trek. That's it.
my rejoinder to people who want to give Terry Matalas another chance, or who say that I shouldn't judge Star Trek Prodigy. While these things may have merit, these people are still flaws or banes of Kurtzman, and the idea that Star Trek Prodigy comes back and starts to thrive. Could you imagine what Alex Kurtzman would have to say to your kids once he grabs that show and crosses it over with his dark, profane, live-action, Strange New Worlds show, or something equally stupid, like puts it into Section 31 and has some of these characters kill each other? He's just so immoral in the sense of his characters and the way they behave, and he's so unaware of it. And he has so much that he wants to impart in the way of actual propaganda. It is extremist propaganda. I denounce the message of New Trek, and I fear Alex Kurtzman having any influence. He would not be allowed to be a high school teacher. He would not be allowed to watch my kids, and he would not be allowed to write any kind of story suitable for anyone under 30. But with all that, I mean, look at episode 1 of Discovery, just blowing up a room full of children. That's not Star Trek at all.
Yeah. Well, I try not to think about. I try not to think about. Oh yeah, go ahead.
He could destroy this whole thing of ours in one episode of Star Trek Prodigy. It's marketed to children. Imagine what he does to that if that show comes back and starts to get hot, and he's just like, I'm exercising my option to write an episode, or I'm going to cross you over with my crazy Strange New Worlds show. That'll be it for Star Trek forever. We won't even be able to. We'll have to look over your shoulder before you talk about it.
Well, we need to go and run our ad.
Oh yes,
In the meantime, we will cool down.
Yes.
And we'll see you after the ad.
Meet the Seattle Vigilante. Like so many comic heroes, this warrior hides his identity. But his identity isn't the only secret he has to keep. After grievous wounds received during combat, Tier 1 operator John Russell begins to recover and comes to terms with his new reality of being an amputee. And as he learns how to use his new prosthetic limb, he finds himself caught up in the bureaucratic red tape that too many wounded veterans experience, the exhausting medboard process. Out of sheer frustration, John takes it out on the criminal scum of the city. But when reality kicks in, John realizes he started something that's having an impact on the greater world around him, and thus has to reevaluate his motives. And moreover, Just how far is John willing to go to finish this war he's declared against the criminals in Seattle? And will he even survive? From the creator of IDW's award-winning graphic novel Code Word Geronimo comes a new story about a different kind of warrior, Vindicated Inc., the first of its kind disabled veteran action hero comic. The Vindicated Inc. graphic novel crowdfunding campaign on fundmycomic.com is provided in the description of this video. We hope you become a contributor. Please share this link. Thank you.
By the way, soon this video will be updated because we are moving now to, I think it's Indiegogo.
Wow. Okay. And Gap After Dark. Let's see. Have you talked about Terry Carter yet? Yes, that was at the beginning of the program. We tried to take it all in order today, and we wanted to start with a talk and a little look back at Mr. Carter's career and his contributions, both in terms of his talent and contribution to the art of film and television and documentary film. And I learned some things that I did not know. So, as I said, as we said at the beginning, it's
Well, that is a nice beast.
wow, nice car, very nice car. Man, where's all that sunshine here? Where I'm living, it's all like cloudy and stuff, like it's about to drop some rain. Like the latest single. Well, anyway.
Is that my car? Who knows? No, I'm not saying. Would I own this car? Yes.
Let's see. Anima Confucia says, yes, a new campaign will be launched soon on Indiegogo to fund Richard so that he can get started on the flashback chapter. Thank you. The lovely Anima Confusa. Because she's cool like that.
Hi,
Yes, she
Anna.
is.
And Sci-Fi Mombi wants, let's see, she wants to...
Sci-Fi Mombi wants some sunny days.
Yeah, she does. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's gorgeous in New York right now. We didn't have much of a winter, but it was like cold enough and windy enough and rainy enough for this to seem great.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah,
That's
you know,
cool.
finally we hit spring. Some years it takes till the third week of June for that like raining, freezing, windy thing to.
Well,
We'll
listen.
still have all 4 seasons in one day before the end of this month. Don't worry about it.
Barring, you know, I mean, if Universal should take Star Trek, let me at least ask you, Teague. Who would you like to
Martin,
see?
is this okay for us to talk about this?
Oh,
Yeah, they'll have to.
we have plenty of room. So
Yeah, we went through all the
when
topics.
All right, just be a little aware of my sound. I'm outdoors on earbuds, but I'm on
Yeah,
a fairly quiet street here. I'm on the street from Goodfellas. I'm about two blocks from that view that he had. If anyone wants to come get me, take it on all comers here. I
Well,
just killed another immortal and absorbed their power, and I'm feeling great. Go. What is your Star Trek question, my friend?
Who would you like to see as the showrunner? If NBC were to go out and try to get someone, who would you like to see the showrunner? If not Seth MacFarlane, let's say Seth.
Peter Jack.
oh, that's
How's that? Just
big
threw
one.
down a freaking grenade. I don't. Admiral Teague doesn't mess around. I don't
Dude,
believe in half measures.
that's
You know what?
a big name with a high
It's a
price
cow-
attached to
It's
it.
a It's a calculated risk I'm willing to take. I've seen the man's work with other people's characters in the past. If they're determined to reboot the original characters, he'll do fine. If he has to create his own, he'll do fine. The guy knows what he's doing. 3 out of his 6 Lord of the Ring movies are the greatest movies of all time, and the other 3 are terrible.
I don't know if Peter Jackson would do showrunner for just one thing, though.
It's Star Trek. He would probably take both licenses and be like, all right then, I'll have Philippa on the TV show, and I'll write another movie that coincides with it. And it would all line up and make sense because Peter Jackson is not an idiot. Like in his 3 Lord of the Ring movies, he does not lose track of any of the characters, and we all know where they are in time. We keep ourselves oriented throughout 3 whole movies. Look at the people from Star Trek Discovery and their timeline, which is not even faithful to the beginning of their own episodes most times. So how about Peter Jackson? Or is that too ambitious? Do I have to reconsider on a TV scale?
No. That's your answer. Okay.
And he doesn't come to Hollywood either. He runs the whole thing like the Emperor does in like Revenge of the Sith. He's just like a hologram on the table in the boardroom. He's like, all right then, mates, I want you to make this episode jolly good fun, and they're going to go to a planet.
Well, why couldn't they just shoot the series in New Zealand?
You know what? That would be a few of the planets. Like I would say send them there for like a third of the year to have him on set for the episodes he directs. But I don't want Peter Jackson coming to Hollywood to have regular meetings. I want Peter Jackson to be able to say, I was asleep, mate. I didn't get that call about how I was supposed to change things, and now it's too late for me to put in your woke angle. I'm descended from criminals, you know. You can't trust me.
So I will admit that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I gotta say, if I had to pick someone to showrun a new Star Trek really series, just thinking about a series and not the entire thing, I'd have to go with Brian Fuller himself. But I mean,
I'll say Taylor Sheridan. Then, if I have to pick second best, I'll go with the Yellowstone guy.
Oh, he's kind of expensive. I don't think they could afford him.
But he's good.
He is good. No, don't get me wrong. He is really good. But I don't think NBC could afford him.
Bad effects and like not so great stuff on screen has never been as important as a really good story. Let's spend on the creator this time. Let's bring in a guy with a great resume. Look, every single Yellowstone show is interesting. Lioness Spec Ops didn't work out. Everything else I've seen from Taylor Sheridan, pretty good. Bass Reeves, pretty good. I think he's capable. Give him a contract. He's already with that company. Give him a contract.
Well, I mean, technically, he would be working for NBC. If NBC
he's Paramount.
Yeah, if NBC bought Paramount, then they would definitely be taking Taylor Sheridan's contract. And for NBC, that's God.
They just get him for free, kind of. They can bring him in right off the bench. They're like, Sheridan, you like Star Trek?
Barring any kind of a contract they have for episodes to be broadcast on CBS, Taylor Sheridan would probably be able to present, Yellowstone, or at least any of the Yellowstone spinoffs would be presented on NBC.
He's friends with Harrison Ford. Imagine Harrison Ford as a Starfleet admiral or as the president of Earth.
No. Harrison Ford wouldn't do it. Harrison Ford definitely would not do it.
Harrison Ford will only come off the couch if it's going to destroy one of his old roles. Working Girl 2 is coming out. We go down the road, he's an abusive drunk, and she has to... It's a lot like The Burning Bed. I don't want to give anything away. Destroyed so many of his own characters. How about Han Solo dies by walking onto a lightsaber for no reason? How about that?
Look, Wolverine 626. Again, I don't mind Brian Fuller at all because we do not know what his Star Trek Discovery is.
Yeah, there's
We
no
know
judging. It's the
there.
waters are too disturbed to reflect the picture
I
that was once supposed
I
to be there.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, if you get a look at the Bible that he created for Star Trek Discovery and just read the show Bible, you're going to realize that the show that they call Discovery now is not the same as Brian Fuller's Discovery. Okay, it's just two different things. And it's just it's embarrassing how different Star Trek Discovery is, with Alex Kurtzman having rewritten Brian Fuller's reconceived Brian Fuller's idea. That's really the extent of what he did. CBS took everything, and Kurtzman reconceived everything. He didn't just rewrite it; he reconceived stuff. He took
Yeah, it
characters
really opened
and
my eyes on this one. Really, every single exciting thing we heard about how this show was going to be good before it came out was something that Fuller had come up with that was just stripped away, disregarded, or perverted.
hmm again, the dumbest thing ever. And this is what really, this is the part that would hurt me if I were Fuller. It's bad enough that CBS had the right to basically take the show away from him. But what's even more embarrassing is that the guy who they replaced him with was so stupid
And his name is on so much stupidity, right? Like
that,
Secret Hideout is like the assassin bug of
you
production
know what,
companies. They destroy you and wear you as a prize.
I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say that. I apologize to Alex Kurtzman. I'm just saying that your mind can't, Kurtzman's mind cannot conceive of how to write any of this stuff. And he's
We
so
greatly
bad at it.
dislike you as a writer and creator, sir. That is what we're saying. You're probably an upstanding guy, probably obey all rules of the road, hand signal on a bicycle, and are probably a wonderful human being. And you're probably a great next door neighbor. But I don't like you around Star Trek.
It's so bad that when he created the science of the show, he took something that Brian Fuller had researched and had done some work on and completely reconceived it in such and made it so wrong. The
Is
Marsilio
that the
network,
part where their ship was unique? Was that supposed? That's the one thing left over, right?
the unique, okay, the look of the ship is something that Fuller came up with, but it's how the ship was used, and it's the whole Marsilio network using it as a mode of travel rather than as something that was that Fuller came up with as a plot point to help a planet regrow all its vegetation.
And
I mean,
instead, we use it to regrow Nelson Cruz
yeah, well, basically
or
that
Wilson Cruz.
shows you that the Kurtzman didn't know what he was doing. That you turn it into a mode of travel and not as a plot point to regrow vegetation on a barren world.
It's a one episode idea. You couldn't be more correct. And the rumors that we heard that the accusations from Netflix when they initially rejected the show, and we know from real trade publications, they rejected the show from minute one, trying to get out of the Star Trek Discovery contract. But they pointed out things like that and said it wasn't Star Trek, and that they didn't really pay for what they didn't really get what they had asked for.
Well, thank you, Mr. Decker. You're right. It's not reconceived. The code word for ruining is reimagination.
I don't think that the canonity or the verisimilitude or whatever it is, I don't think this will remain canon. I don't think this will remain Star Trek. I think that when we get a better Star Trek, if this happens, or Star Trek will become comic books and nothing else, and bad young adult novels. But if Star Trek survives in a form familiar to the way we're used to seeing it, um, you know, it's going to have to change, and it's going to have to get away from these uncreative people. So no one could do worse. Keith, you and I would do better.
We would, but I'm saying right now that it'd be so easy to separate Kurtzman Trek from the rest of Star Trek. And look, and I say this.
Just
and I
have to
know
overrun the events of Kurtzman Trek while having the characters speak about them not happening. Like Romulus, yeah, it's in great shape. Captain Kirk retired there and died.
I would say this. I would not do to Star Trek what Kurtzman and Goldsman have done. What I would do is I would allow Kurtzman Trek to remain with its own separate universe from the main Star Trek.
Yeah, I might admit that they were my mirror universe.
Yeah, I would.
Not for a long time.
But I also wouldn't fall into the trap of using or even naming any of their characters. Shinatsky. What I would do is I would just I would tell Kurtzman and his people, it's like, look, we're not gonna undo what you've done. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take you and put you in your own universe, and that way, if we feel the need to, somewhere down the line, someone can eventually access. But I would tell them straight off, I'm not gonna touch it. On behalf of Universal and NBC, none of us are going to give you any money for this. So basically, you'll be able to just do whatever you want with whatever else. But everything that you've introduced within your own version of Star Trek is what you'll have the right to do. But that none of that stuff will ever touch and be a part of the main Star Trek line of shows. And that you'll just be placed right over here. So.
No, you're absolutely correct. But you know what I would do for my first episode? Whatever story I did, at some point, I would have someone go visit their grandfather. And their grandfather would just be this guy named Pavel, who happens to be played by Walter Koenig. And he would talk about how his old boss, Jim, his buddy, we're not in the military anymore, so I don't call him captain anymore. But my friend Jim, yeah, he was a great guy. He lived to a ripe old age and retired, on one of the moons of Romulus where he had a condo. Romulus is still fine. And, sometimes we go there on vacation. The Romulans moved to a new planet. They thought there was going to be a supernova, and they just left. But it never happened. And, pick up at the end of All Good Things. Because that, to me, is where Star Trek ends anyway. That's as far into the future as we go. And the next chapter should start there, in my opinion.
Yeah. I would go ahead and just set everything up for what the next chapter within the whole story of Star Trek would be, and I would take cues from what Kurtzman had originally, well, not Kurtzman, but from what Fuller had originally pitched, which is and something. Hey, here's a little thing. Kurtzman pitched finally, and this tells you how desperate he's getting. He pitched an idea that was originally an idea that Brian Fuller had, which was to turn it into an anthology. He pitched a Star Trek anthology series. That was Brian Fuller's original idea with CBS. That's what I would do. That's part of the reason why I would go after Brian Fuller. Because Fuller had all these amazing ideas. Because Star Trek is this incredible universe. There's a lot going on within it. All these planets, all these species, and in all the years of putting all this together, and we haven't really explored that much of it, let alone any of the adventures and things that Captain Kirk and his crew found. I mean, now that we've gone really beyond the time of the Next Generation in a way. Whatever happened
to
some
all other endings to the Next Generation Star Trek timeline, beyond All Good Things, are unwanted, unwelcome, and unnecessary. The next chapter should start at the end of All Good Things, and we should say, like, Old Man Picard died on the Earth. Old Man Kirk died. The Romulus is still out there. Their sun never blew up. Vulcans are not that emotional. Go back to that stuff.
I would also go a little bit further and make references to some of the stuff in the books. To me, it's all fair game, but unlike what Disney's doing right now with Star Wars, I would make it a point to reference characters like Mackenzie Calhoun. Because I believe that those stories are really well written. And if anything that can be done to get fans to read those books, it should be done. It's definitely something that my other twin brother RMB would consider. I would also reinstate fan films. You know, I would tell fans, look, guys, you're all right to be able to make your fan films. We'll just stick with the original rule of, as long as you're not trying to make any money from it, it's all good. Just nothing past 30
And it can't
minutes.
contradict everything else. It can't be
Well,
upside down kooky track.
No, I wouldn't make it official in so much as that it's canon to what we're doing. I would just say, make whatever you're going to make. Just don't try to make any money off of it. And really just try to at least be respectful, but that you can go ahead and just basically do whatever you want. You know, it's a nice way of building friendships, fandoms.
If you want your little league team to wear Yankee uniforms, the Yankees won't sue you, is basically what you're saying. We're not going to rain on your parade. We're not going to act like tyrants, because the one thing Gene Roddenberry always had right, and he had a lot of stuff right, but one thing he was consistently hitting it out of the park on was, and we could always say this, you know, you and I have some ownership of Star Trek that precedes Secret Hideout, because Gene Roddenberry in innumerable Star Trek conventions said the fans are part of Star Trek. The fans own Star Trek. He said it before anything else. Word of mouth, still an acceptable contract. I believe that it belongs to us. And it's not Star Trek until the fans say it is.
Yeah. Michael Decker says, Keith, Brian Ray, and I had the anthology pitch way back before Enterprise premiered. Short stories set between the... Really? Well, if that's true, then I'll just bring you on board. Yeah, the whole, if something catches, spin it off into a new series. Yeah, that's exactly what Brian Fuller had pitched to CBS. You know,
just don't take so much fruit off the tree that there's nothing left. But we have to get one good, consistent Star Trek show before we can even think beyond that. Like, we have so much damage control to do, Keith. I wouldn't
consider any of that. Anything that you saw that was a part of Kurtzman Trek is its own thing set to the side. And so basically, you look, you had it right. If you treat it like all good things, in my opinion, I would say Star Trek Nemesis. But if you treat it like all good things was the end of the next generation.
All good things is after, though, right? All good things technically still happens. It happens after.
I would consider having all of the non-stuff that happened, all of the stuff that Kurtzman did is just place it off to the side. And if you want to approach any of that, I would just warn them that accessing any of that stuff means that we have to give Kurtzman and his people money. Personally,
I don't know about it. You know what I mean? Like some of that stuff. Oof. I mean, aside from maybe Doug Jones, is there anything from his new Trek that we all think would fit in and be okay?
Look, Doug. Here's what I would do with Doug Jones. If Doug Jones still wanted to do Star Trek, I'd tell him this: we will bring you back, but you get to play whoever you want to play. It doesn't necessarily have to. Look, we're not going to give you that same character. That's a no-go, because that means we got to also give Kurtzman money, and we're not going to do that.
Has someone put this man on the Wednesday show as Lurch already?
New Frontier. Like, that's what I was mean. New Frontier.
If Nigel Barrett was still around, we could have a new Mr. Hom.
Look, Wolverine 626, adapting the New Frontier books would be an absolute joy. And I think it's something that should have been done long ago. I would also find a way of, let's see, Michael Decker says, everything past First Contact is a new timeline, one that spawned Discovery and anything that followed, including Enterprise.
That's too far into the future, and it comes after too much of a disaster. I'm sorry, Keith.
Yeah.
Here's my problem. Star Trek Generations is such a flaming car wreck of a story. It's such a disaster that you really just want to pretend that those TNG movies didn't happen, because to carry them along means all the problems that come with them. We have permanent re-uploads of Kirk and Picard in the Nexus that we can put into Zoom-type robot bodies, and people will call them Admiral and blame them for the children they didn't father. That's what we're taking on. The hell with that. You know what? We need to start our Star Trek show real dry and real Star Trek. You know what it will be?
Yeah.
It will be Romulan and Vulcan scientists at the Vulcan Science Academy with a couple of humans who are a little bit out of the loop to do the exposition. And they'll be talking about how they thought their sun was going to explode, but it didn't, and it won't. And then they'll talk about the funeral service for Admiral Picard, who died in France. And then a couple of Zoom-type robots will be there at the meeting, showing that doesn't mean anything. And then, with all that established, and the fact that all good things has happened, and an older Jonathan Frakes, as Admiral Riker, just retires on the spot. He's your member-berry human. Throw in Chekhov, and because the JJ verse was so poorly conceived in the Kelvin department, it's a very easy escape. We could write our way out of this just by having the Romulans and the Vulcans agree that they thought the sun was going to blow up, but it didn't, and it won't. And the humans being like, how did you make such a stupid mistake? It's like we thought that we got a false sensor reading from a ship masquerading as a Federation ship. It was actually a pirate mercenary vessel known as calling itself the USS Kelvin. And then just, no such ship has ever existed on Starfleet Register. We're out of it. It's over. Gone.
Okay. Hey, sounds good. I mean, as long as we're not doing anything Kurtzman Trek, I'm good with it.
Somebody looks at their watch and says, okay, and it's Stardate after all good things. Let's go forward. And it's time to retire the Enterprise D. It's looked great with that third nacelle on. Bye, Enterprise D.
I think
Let
I
people
would.
know.
I think what I would do is I would just convene a grouping of all of the Star Trek fans that are in the business. I'd pick about 5 people to sit down with and just map out where we wanted to go. And one of them would be J. Michael Straczynski, because I believe in J. Michael Straczynski. I'm not saying he should show run, but he should definitely be someone added to your writer's room who could really
He should be
contribute.
allowed to write part of it. Yeah, probably you'd want him to say, all right, we're not going to go Section 31 here, but we want some political feel to this. You're great at that. Space politics, it's not going to make anybody angry, and you don't have any agenda except to entertain. Weave us a political tale about space politics. And he'd be like, no problem. You know what? Here's the base of my story. Freedom is very precious, and we'll fight and die for it. Okay, good. Let's go. If we keep it to space politics, right? There was maybe a moderate green agenda to say Star Trek 6 with the explosion of Praxis. And, maybe, the fact that we might be poisoning our own planet. But that is such a meta comment. And it was so in the air at the time of the movie that was Star Trek talking about something topical and relevant. And they didn't dwell on it. It was one aspect of the story, and they moved on. It's like, yeah, they trashed their planet, and they're going to have to move on. And then we just kick the story into gear. Something like that.
Yeah.
Somebody losing their home world, but not in the way the Romulans do. And something that makes scientific sense, because the way the Romulans lose their planet is foreseeable for hundreds of millions of years.
I would definitely like to bring in Bruce Boxleitner and make him either a captain and or an admiral and go from there.
You've seen my Sheridan and raised me a Sheridan. I want Taylor Sheridan, you want Commander Sheridan. We can get somewhere here. How about we use both?
We could use both. I would just think that we could get a lot out of being able to put together something like that. But look, considering the time that we have left, I have just enough time to thank everyone, but to also say I have a little bit of an announcement. It's a lot of local stuff, but this is all fitting within what we do, okay? I just need everybody to be patient for a moment. I was made aware of an event that is coming to the area, and it is an event that will be at the Marshfield Community Center in Marshfield, Missouri. Okay? It'll be Friday, April 26th from 10 to 3 and Saturday, April 27th from 10 to 2. Now, Marshfield, Missouri. Not exactly a place that has had a lot of major, big things happen as far as sci-fi and all that other stuff. But let me tell ya, buried within all of this is an opportunity for a lot of you longtime Star Trek fans to meet at least 3 people that were part of the original Star Trek series. I think that, speaking as a fan, a longtime fan myself, to hear that they are having this event and that they've invited in the people that they have, wow. I mean, just, it still blows my mind. But they're going to have Sean Kinney, who is the young man who got the chance to play Captain Pike, an older version of Pike, in the episode The Menagerie. Okay? Not the Cage. That's
Oh
Jeffrey
no,
Hunter.
Keith, push my berserk button. This is one of the topics I have a lot of opinions on.
But you'll get a chance to meet Sean Kinney at this event. Okay? He's going to be there. Also, Sandra Gimple, okay, who was also a part of the cast of The Cage. And Beverly Washburn, who was Arlene Galway in the episode The Deadly Years. The 3 of them are going to be a part of this event in Marshfield, Missouri, okay? And a big part of what this event is, it's lots of TV stars coming in for a good cause and to meet people. They've already had one person, though, back out. Eric Roberts was supposed to be there, and I hear he had to back out. But it looks like everybody else is going to be there. So you'll have different people from different shows, different things there to meet and greet and talk to people. All of you out there who are fans of Little House on the Prairie are going to have quite a few members of the cast of that show there. But for you Star Trek fans, I'm telling you, it's a really good opportunity, basically to meet Sean Kinney, who was the older version of Pike, who was in the chair. That's him. And for all you Star Trek completists,
is that his only appearance? Is he not maybe in 1 or 2 other episodes?
I think he appeared in like 3 episodes.
One of them might be Arena.
Yeah, but yeah. It's an opportunity to come on out to Marshfield, Missouri, and get a chance to see everybody and meet people. It's the Nostalgia Fest. It's the It's the 19th annual Cherry Blossom Festival presents Nostalgia Fest Autograph Show. And will be at the Marshfield Community Center in Marshfield, Missouri. Free admission. So come on out, and those of you who are fans of the original Star Trek, here's an opportunity to get 3 very rare autographs, including Mr. Sean Kinney's, who I think would be a nice addition to anybody's collection. So,
and canonically, the first ever person to appear as Pike, because we see old, messed up Pike first.
You're right. As far as appearances go, yeah. As far as appearances go,
yeah.
That's amazing. all of it's amazing to me. I mean, I'm still surprised that this event's going on. But yeah, Mr. Kenny has yeah. And I think if I remember correctly, it's okay. It's Sandra Gimple is one of the three ladies who was one of the
The Telosians?
yeah, one of the Telosians in the cage. And she was also the Salt Vampire. She was in the costume for the Salt
Okay.
Vampire. Okay? So trust me, they got a lot of good stuff going on, but those particular three are the ones, if you are a Star Trek fan, that you really want to aim and get their autographs. They have a nice collection of guests, but I was just sort of drawn to those particular three because, again, I'm a big classic Star Trek fan, and so
It's ironic, right? One of them super ages in Star Trek, right? She's the only one not to survive the episode.
That's right. So, oh yeah, good show today, everybody. Good show today. So let me just say, Michael
thank you
Decker,
very much for having me
bring
on.
in Seth MacFarlane, rein him in a bit, and get him on board. Orville was more Star Trek than any recent Star Trek. That's true. Well, listen.
FYI, can I do a quick shameless plug? I'll be
Sure,
back tonight.
sure.
I'll be back tonight around 8:30 to start the STT Episode 5 watch party as we celebrate the ending of this terrible era in Star Trek. The great correction has begun, my friends.
One can only hope.
God, we've been through enough of the stupid show.
Yeah.
At least last week's story had the courtesy to rewind time and unhappen so that we don't have to remember it. That seems to happen a lot in this show. But yeah, last week's episode, you can miss it because it never happened. They rewound time to before the episode started and remarked on how it didn't happen and moved forward.
Wow.
Yeah, that's about as good as they can pull off a story. They're like, yeah, we got out of this story with no implications. There's no substance, no canon. And everyone was just whooping it up. I'm sure to them that was a major victory.
Can't end fast enough. Well, I want to thank the Peter Venkman fan site, Mr. Michael Decker, Gap After Dark, Monkey Chibas, Joe's Atmosphere, Cam, Sci-Fi Mombi, because, Sci-Fi Mombi is cool like that. Anima Confusa, because she is definitely cool like that. Wolverine, 626. And D. Bud Martin. I want to thank you and everyone else. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. On behalf of Teague, on behalf of Martin, I'm the Keith. Have a nice day.
See you again.
I've stolen 2 cars during this street.
Oh, man.